As a travel agency based here in Japan, we get a front row seat to all the little things that blow your minds when you come and visit, and it's honestly one of our favorite parts of the job. No matter how much research you might do before coming to Japan, there's always a few wait what moments when you arrive. Japan is packed with quirky rules, ultra-specific etiquette, and delightful contradictions that you just don't find anywhere else. So based on years of guest feedback, here are 28 surprising things that regularly catch travelers off guard, from the genius to the downright baffling things. Let's dive right in and check out these little specific things that might shock you about Japan. Number 1 is public bins. This one catches people off guard every single time. Japan is unbelievably clean, like cleaner than most places that have bins on every corner, but the weird thing is public bins are hard to find. You'll find yourself holding onto your trash way longer than expected. So where do you chuck your rubbish? Your best bets are train stations, which are usually near ticket gates or on platforms. There are also some in parks and food courts. Convenience shops, also known as konbini, sometimes have bins, but they're typically intended for customers and may be located inside the shop rather than outside. It's considered good manners to make a purchase before using these bins. Additionally, vending machines often have bins nearby, but these are usually designated for bottles and cans only. Given the limited availability, it's a really good idea to carry a small rubbish bag or a Ziploc in your bag the whole entire time that you're here. You thank yourself after eating a konbini snack on the go while there's nowhere else to toss the wrapper. The second thing that really shocks people is that cash is still king here in Japan. For a country where vending machines talk to you, Japan is weirdly into cash. You'll find loads of places like ramen joints, little shrines, market stores that straight up don't accept cards. Even some taxis and hotels outside big cities prefer yen in hand. So yeah, always carry cash with you, and not just big bills, but also small change because they can be super useful. Hit up 7-Eleven or post office ATMs because they're usually pretty reliable for foreign cards. And don't just assume you can tap your card or use Apple Pay everywhere, because you definitely can't. When in doubt, make sure to have your card and also some yen in hand with you. The third thing that shocks people is the limited English. If you're sticking to Tokyo or Kyoto or Osaka, you probably get by fine with just English. But once you start heading to smaller towns, countryside spots, or even just neighborhood izakayas, English starts disappearing really fast. That includes menus, street signs, and even transportation information. Even in Tokyo, which is one of the biggest cities in the whole entire world, don't be surprised if most people don't speak much English or are too shy to try. It's not that they don't know any, a lot of people are just perfectionists and don't want to mess up. That being said, locals are usually super sweet and will often go out of their way to help you, even if it turns into a full game of charades. The best move for you is to download Google Translate and use the camera function, which works surprisingly well for signs and menus. Also, just make sure to take screenshots of directions in advance if you're going somewhere without internet. Having said that, don't worry, locals are usually super sweet and will try to help you. The fourth thing that surprises people when they come to Japan is the quiet public transportation. If you're used to loud trains back home with music blaring, phones ringing, and people yelling, Japan will feel like another planet. Public transport here is really quiet. People don't take phone calls, they don't talk loudly, or make any kind of fuss. It's basically an unspoken quiet zone. As a tourist, it's cool to experience but also easy to accidentally mess up. Keep your phone on silent, which is called mana modo in Japan actually, and use headphones and try to keep conversations with your travel buddy to a minimum. It's not about being strict, it's just the vibe, and once you get used to it, it's kind of amazing. The fifth thing that trips people up is the next level toilets. Toilets in Japan deserve its own fan club. There are heated seats, built-in bidet, buttons that play waterfall sounds so no one can hear you pee. And yes, there's a lot of different things. Even the bathroom in convenience stores are high-tech wonders. But here's a twist. A lot of public toilets don't have soap, paper towel, or hand dryers. So it's super normal for locals to carry their own hand sanitizer or a small towel. Also, don't be shocked if you come across a squat toilet in Japan. It's all part of the adventure, and honestly, the toilets are still cleaner than most that you'll find anywhere else in the world. The sixth thing that shocks people is the shoe etiquette. If there's one rule that really sticks with travelers, it's that you have to take off your shoes. It's not just in people's homes either. You'll be swapping your shoes for slippers in different restaurants, traditional inns called ryokan, temples, historical buildings, and even in some changing rooms. There's usually a little step or raised platform at the entrance where you're expected to leave your shoes behind. You can also find that slippers are provided in some places, and yes, there's also sometimes a second second pair of slippers just for the toilet. If that happens, just go with it, but remember by switching them back because walking around in toilet slippers around the area is a no-no. Wearing easy to slip off shoes makes life a whole lot easier in Japan, especially if you're visiting multiple places in a day. Another thing that shocks people in Japan is the strict smoking rules. If you're thinking about lighting up on the go, please don't do it. Street smoking is often banned, especially in big cities, and you usually only be able to smoke in clearly marked designated smoking areas. These are usually enclosed and tucked away near stations or buildings and can be tricky to find sometimes. Weirdly, some older bars and small restaurants still allow indoor smoking, especially if they're exempt under the local rules, usually if they're under a certain size or don't serve food. So if you're sensitive to smoke or just not a big fan of the smell clinging onto your clothes, it's definitely worth peeking inside these little places or giving it a sniff before committing to a seat. You might walk into what looks like a cozy little spot and find that it's basically a smoke cloud with chairs. And if you're a smoker, keep an eye out for smoking space signs and don't assume that it's okay to just puff away in public, because even outdoors there's a big no-no when it comes to noisy, busy area unless you're in a designated zone. Another thing that shocks people is the no tipping rule in Japan. This one really blows travelers' minds in the best way. You don't need to tip anywhere in Japan, not at restaurants, not in taxis, not even in fancy hotels. In fact, if you try, you'll likely confuse the staff or have your money politely handed back. Service here is just part of the job. It's not something you're expected to reward separately. It might feel a little bit weird at first, especially coming from places where tipping is the norm, but trust us, paying the bill is all you need to do. Simple, clean, and no awkward mats at the end of the meal. The ninth thing that shocks people is nudity at onsens. Yeah, this one really gets everybody. At Japanese hot springs, which are called onsen, you're expected to bathe completely naked. There are no swimsuits, no covering up with towels, no trying to sneak in wearing shorts. It's just how it's done here. And for a lot of travelers, that first time might be a little bit, wait, seriously moment for you, but the good news is it's totally normal here in Japan, and once you get past that initial awkwardness, it's honestly no big deal. Onsens are gender separated and no one's staring at anyone else. People are usually there to relax, not to judge. That being said, there are a bunch of other unspoken rules that you should know about, like where to put your towel, how to wash before getting in, what not to do once you're in the bath, and so on. We really break it all down in this guide that you'll find in the description box down below, so you can go in fully prepared and not be shocked by any of the onsen rules. Number 10 is that tattoos can still be a problem. Tattoos are becoming more and more common in Japan, especially among younger people, but in traditional settings like onsen or public baths or even gyms, they're still seen as a taboo. This mostly goes back to their association with the Yakuza, which are Japanese organized crime, so places will often have signs that say no tattoos allowed. If you've got ink, don't panic. Some onsens are tattoo friendly, especially in bigger cities or onsen towns, and more are becoming open to tourists. Another option is to use tattoo cover-up stickers, which you can find online or sometimes even at the onsen itself. Or honestly, something I would recommend you can do is to look into booking private baths, because that way you can enjoy the experience stress-free no matter what's on your skin. Number 11 that shocks people is that public seating is rare. If you think you can just sit down at a bench and just take in the view, not so fast. Public seating in Japan is surprisingly rare, especially in busy areas like shopping streets, station plazas, or sightseeing spots. You'll be walking around all day before you find anywhere to rest your feet. Parks usually have benches and some train stations have seats on the platforms, but in general don't count on having a place to sit unless you're in a cafe, in a restaurant, or an actual waiting area. If you're planning to grab some food from konbini, you can look for shops with eat-in spaces. Not all of them have them, but some do. Otherwise, the park steps or low walls often become the unofficial go-to place to sit. Number 12 is the limited breakfast options here in Japan. If you're planning to start your day with a nice early breakfast at a local cafe, you might be out of luck. A lot of restaurants and coffee shops in Japan don't open until 10 or even 11 a.m., even in big cities like Tokyo or Osaka. If you're used to early morning brunch culture, this one can catch you off guard. But don't worry, convenience stores totally save the day. 7-Eleven, Family Mart, and Lawson usually are open 24/7 and stock everything from onigiri, which are rice balls and sandwiches, to hot food, yogurt, and surprisingly good coffee. If you're after a sit-down option, there are big chains like Dotor or Tadis, usually open earlier and are a safe bet for a quick coffee and toast type of start. Also, one place I would highly recommend you check out are kisaten. Onsen. These are traditional Japanese cafes with a retro Showa era vibe. These spots often open earlier and offer classic breakfast sets like toast, eggs, and coffee in a cozy, old school setting. It's a more low-key, local way to ease your way into the day and a totally underrated experience if you're into the vintage Japan charm. Number 13 of what things shock people in Japan are vertical layouts. In most countries, you look left and right to spot a shop or restaurant. In Japan, you have to look up. A lot of different businesses are tucked away on upper floors of regular looking buildings, especially in the big cities. That hidden gem ramen shop that you might be looking for could be on the 5th floor. That cute cafe you can't seem to find probably is up a narrow staircase with a tiny sign that you can easily walk past. It feels weird at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's kind of exciting, like discovering a secret layer to the city. You can usually find the floor location on Google Maps before heading out, and a lot of listings actually include something like 3F, like 3rd floor, or B1, basement level, right in the name or address. Also keep an eye out on building directories and elevator signs because they usually list what's on each floor. So don't judge a building by just looking at the ground floor because the best stuff might be tucked away several stories up. The 14th thing that shocks people is that hotel laundry can be limited. If you're planning to pack light and wash clothes on the go, here is a heads up. Not all hotels in Japan offer laundry services. Budget hotels and business hotels often have coin laundry machines, but mid-range or boutique hotels might not, and some ryokan style places definitely won't. Make sure to plan ahead by checking hotel listings or scope out nearby coin laundry places on Google Maps before you arrive. They're usually very clean, efficient, and usually open late, plus some even have English instructions and free Wi-Fi while you wait. Worst case, you can pop into a combini for snacks and make laundry night a little bit more adventurous. Number 15 is over-tourism in popular spots. Japan has no shortage of bucket list destinations, the kinds of places you've seen 100 times on Instagrams, in movies, or on travel blogs. But when it comes time to visit them in real life, a lot of travelers are shocked by just how crowded the places can get. What looks like a serene shrine in the photos often turn into packed places with tour groups, selfie sticks, and queues just to snap a picture. Kyoto is one of the most impacted cities. Areas like Gion, Fushimi Inari, and the Arashiyama Bamboo Grove get incredibly congested, especially during spring and autumn time. Gion in particular has struggled with disrespectful tourist behaviors, from people chasing geisha for photos to blocking alleyways and even entering private properties. In response to this, some local streets have put up signs banning photography altogether. Other spots that get hit hard by over-tourism include Ninenzaka and Sannenzaka, the historic shopping streets near Kiyomizudera. Osaka Castle is also very busy, Dotonbori, and Team Lab Planets in Tokyo. Even more rural spots like Shirakawa-go and Mount Fuji's 5th stations aren't immune to this, with a lot of tourists arriving daily during peak seasons. Some areas have had to implement crowd control measures or ask tourists to avoid certain time of the day of visiting these places. So if you're planning to visit these spots, the best move is to go early, like right after opening, or later in the evening. You can also consider avoiding weekends and holidays if you can, and also be aware that these aren't just tourist sites, they're also real places with people living and working in them. Being respectful, keeping noises down, and not blocking paths or entrances for photos goes a long way. Number 16 is personal hygiene products are different here in Japan. If you're planning to shop for deodorant or tampons in Japan, you might be in for a bit of a surprise. A lot of common products, especially Western brands, just aren't available here, and the local options can be very different in texture, in the scent, and strength. For example, Japanese deodorants tend to be milder and less long-lasting than what some travelers are used to, and spray types are more common than roll-ons or sticks. While skincare are high quality, they lean heavily into the brightening or whitening effects, which might not be ideal for everybody. If you're particular about your personal care routine or have sensitive skin, it's worth bringing a good supply of your favorite essentials. Pharmacies can be overwhelming as well without the English labels, and trial and error isn't something you might want to deal with mid-trip. Number 17 of what shocks people here in Japan is punctuality. Japan doesn't mess around when it comes to time. Being on time actually means being a bit early, especially for meetups, bookings, and anything remotely formal. Turning up exactly on the dot is considered borderline late, and even casual plans with friends usually come with that built-in 5 minutes early expectation. And when it comes to transportation, same vibe but with military precisions. Trains, especially the Shinkansen bullet train, departs to the second. If it says it's leaving at 14:03, it's gone 14:03. Don't expect delays, don't expect grace periods. Be on the platform early and ready to move because that train won't wait, even if you're sprinting down the stairs. Number 18 of what shocks people here in Japan is that packaging overload is real. Japan loves packaging and they're really good at it. Snacks come in beautifully designed wrappers, gifts are often wrapped with origami level precision, and even a piece of fruit can feel like a luxury item in its own individual box. Everything looks super polished, often thoughtfully portioned, and packaging is usually easy to open, resealable, or split into smaller packs, which is honestly pretty convenient when you're on the go. The downside though is that it can feel excessive really quickly. A single cookie might come individually wrapped inside a plastic tray, then sealed in a bag, then placed in a box. You might finish a snack and end up with 3 layers of packaging to throw away. It's especially noticeable when you buy souvenirs or shop at convenience stores. You walk away with more plastic than the product. The fix is to bring a reusable tote or eco bag. They're not only better for the environment but also practical since plastic bags cost extra and are not always offered. If you're shopping for gifts, feel free to politely decline the extra wrapping unless you really want the full display. It's all really beautiful and not always necessary. Number 19 is that train stations can be labyrinth. Big city stations in Japan aren't just places to catch a train, they're like a self-contained city. Places like Shinjuku, Tokyo, Umeda, or Ikebukuro are super big with so many different exits, multiple train lines, underground malls, restaurants, and even hotels packed in. You could walk for 15 minutes underground and still be technically in the station. When meeting someone or trying to find a specific exit, don't just say the station name. Use the exact exit number like exit B12 or East exit, or tell your driver, your shop, your guide which line or platform you're arriving at. Also plan for buffer time. You might arrive at the station on time but still be 10 minutes away from where you actually need to be. Number 20 of what shocks people is that don't expect public Wi-Fi everywhere. You would think that in Japan with all the futuristic tech that there's Wi-Fi everywhere. It's not. While you can find public networks in places like airports, convenience stores, and major train stations, the connection is often slow, unreliable, or requires a really awkward sign-up process. Hotels and Airbnbs may offer Wi-Fi, but is not guaranteed to be fast or stable, especially in rural areas. If you need solid internet access for maps, bookings, or translation apps, which most of the time you probably will need, make sure to rent a pocket Wi-Fi or grab a SIM card in advance. It will really save you a lot of stress when you're trying to look for a hidden place down a side street with no English signs. The number 21 thing that shocks people is that rubbish sorting can catch you off guard. Even as a tourist, you run into Japan's super detailed waste separation system. A lot of public bins like the ones inside cafes, near vending machines, or inside convenience shops have separate slots for bottles, cans, and general rubbish, and you're expected to follow the rules even if you're just tossing away a drink bottle. Hotel rooms and Airbnb bins might also be split into categories like burnables, plastics, and recyclables with labels which are sometimes in Japanese only. It's not always clear what goes where, so when in doubt, just check the signs or ask someone. If you're staying in a place for a longer period of time, your host might likely give you a full breakdown, and people really do care if you mess up. For short stays, just take a second look before tossing away something and don't mix up your plastics and paper. Number 22 is that slurping is totally normal and even encouraged. In most countries, slurping your food would get you side eyes. In Japan, it's a good thing, especially when it comes to noodles like ramen, soba, or udon. Loud slurping signals that you're enjoying your meal, and it's totally normal to hear a whole restaurant doing it. It's actually also very practical because slurping helps cool down the hot noodles as you eat, and for brothy dishes like ramen, it really helps enhance the flavor experience. So don't hold back, lean in, and make some noise and enjoy it like a local. Number 23 is that chopstick rules are a huge deal. Using chopsticks in Japan comes with their own sets of cultural rules, and they go beyond just knowing how to hold them. There are certain actions that are considered big no-nos, especially because they mimic rituals associated with funerals. One of the biggest things to avoid is by sticking your chopsticks upright into a bowl of rice. This is done at funerals as an offering to the dead, so doing it at the table is seen extremely inappropriate and also bad luck. Another big no-no is passing food directly from one pair of chopsticks to another, because this too reflects a funeral practice involving cremated bones. Even if you're just trying to be helpful at at a shared meal, please do not do this. Other habits that are considered poor manners with chopsticks include pointing your chopsticks, waving them around while talking, stabbing food to pick it up, or resting them across your bowl when you're done eating, because instead you can use the chopstick rest when one is provided or place them neatly on the tray. If you're sharing plates, the polite move is to use the opposite non-eating end of your chopsticks while taking food from a shared plate to pass on to someone. These might seem like small things, but they make a huge difference in showing respect for Japanese dining culture, and once you're aware, they're really easy to follow. The number 24 thing that shocks people is that vending machines sell wild stuff. Japan's vending machines are pretty legendary, and for good reason. You'll spot them everywhere along quiet residential streets, at train stations, inside buildings, and even down some random alleyways. They're brightly lit, super convenient, and often cheaper than buying from a shop. Most commonly, these vending machines sell drinks, everything from iced coffee, green tea, water, to soft drinks. A lot also offer hot drinks in winter, and yes, they come out actually very warm. Beyond that, you'll sometimes find machines selling snacks, even umbrellas, batteries, face masks, and even ice cream. The more out there stuff is, like cold ramen soup in cans, toys, neckties, or underwear, but it's rare, and also you can find them for tourist appeal. You can also find the more out there stuff like cold ramen soup in a can, toys, neckties, and even underwear. It's rare and usually placed in novelty spots or for tourists. You won't really be able to stumble across them everywhere, but they're really fun to hunt down if you're curious. Most machines accept coins, bills, and IC cards like Suica or Pasmo, so they're super easy to use. Whether you're thirsty, craving a snack, or suddenly caught in the rain without an umbrella, there's probably a vending machine somewhere that's got your back. Number 25 is that if you lost something, it will likely come back. Japan has one of the most impressive lost and found cultures in the world. If you lose your phone, your wallet, passport, camera, or even something as minor as an umbrella, there's genuinely a high chance that you get it back. People here don't just leave lost items alone, they often go out of their way to hand them in to the nearest station office, the store counter, or koban, which are police boxes. If you lose something, the first thing you should do is retrace your steps. In a lot of cases, your item might still be exactly where you left it behind, untouched. If it's not there, you can ask the staff nearby or head to the nearest koban police boxes. Be ready to describe what you lost, when, and where. Police officers will often take a written report and may even contact you later if the item turns up. Train stations have their own centralized lost and found system, especially JR stations, and items are usually transferred between branches based on where they're found. This kind of honesty really surprises a lot of visitors. Locals grow up with a strong sense of not taking what isn't theirs, even small amount of money that are usually routinely handed in. It's one of those quiet, deeply ingrained cultural traits that really sticks with you after visiting. In a world where lost often means gone forever, Japan gives you a really rare and reassuring dose of hope. Another thing that really shocks people about Japan is how crazily clean and super safe it is. Japan is next level clean, like spotless. You honestly wonder how the streets stay so immaculate when there are barely any rubbish bins around. People just carry their rubbish with them until they can throw it away properly. There's a strong cultural respect for shared spaces, so littering is basically a no-go. Even super busy areas like Shibuya or Osaka's Dotonbori somehow stay relatively tidy, and public transportation are just super neat. It's also one of the safest places you probably ever visit. Walking alone at night, even in sketchy looking back streets, feels totally fine, no weird vibes, no lurking dodgy types. Violent crime is actually pretty rare here as well, and petty theft isn't really a thing. People also leave their bags to claim a table or fall asleep on the train with their phones out, and no one bats an eye. That being said, it's always smart to stay aware, but overall Japan sets a ridiculously high bar for both the cleanliness and personal safety. The 27th thing that shocks people is next level hospitality. People in Japan don't mess around when it comes to being helpful. The level of kindness and effort is honestly unreal. Staff in shops, restaurants, hotels are super polite usually, and they would go beyond just doing their job. It's not in a fake customer service kind of way, it feels really genuine. There's the no tipping culture that I mentioned earlier, and you still get treated like a royalty. That being said, local people tend to be quite shy, so they might not rush over to help unless you ask, but if you do, they'll often go above and beyond. A lot of our guests have told us that people have walked them to train stations, helped them translate full conversations on their phones, and even called ahead to check information for them. Just don't be afraid to approach someone if you're feeling stuck. You nearly always be met with patience and a big effort to help, even if it turns into a full game of charades. The 28th thing that shocks people is that it's 24/7 nearly everywhere. Big cities like Tokyo and Osaka basically run on a sleep is optional vibe. You never really feel stuck for options no matter what time it is. Convenience stores, aka konbinis, are open 24/7 and are absolute lifesavers. They've got hot meals, drinks, alcohol, fresh socks, phone chargers, skincare, ATMs, and sometimes even concert tickets or printing services. It kinda legit feels like you could live out of one if you had to. But it doesn't stop there. Karaoke joints, internet cafes, manga cafes, capsule hotels, there are things open all night. A lot of them even offer overnight packages if you missed the last train, need somewhere to chill, take a nap, or just want to sing a little bit. You'll find 24-hour ramen joints, gyudon chains like Sukiya or Matsuya, and random vending machines selling everywhere from hot drinks to ice cream. It's super handy if you're jet lagged or just not ready to call it a night. Just keep in mind that once you're out of the big city bubble, the 24/7 lifestyle fades pretty quickly, so it's worth double checking what's open if you're off exploring smaller towns. Japan really has a habit of catching you off guard, from vending machines that comes to the rescue at 2 a.m. to unexpected spotless toilets in the middle of nowhere. You might feel like you've done all your research, but once you're here, something small will almost definitely make you pause and go, what? And honestly, that's part of the fun. If you're coming to Japan and really want to deep dive into all the amazing things that Japan has to offer, we have private tours, group trips, trip planning services, and a lot more. So if you're interested, make sure to check out the description box down below. Which of these things that I talked about today shocked you the most? Let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe and press the bell notification for more videos about Japan coming your way. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.